The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, there we go. Some post-match pish. It is the boys say boss. It is the P.M.P show. As always, I'm joined by Terry Robb, the face of P.M.P, the birthday boy this weekend, and of course, Mike William as well at the top. In from Canada, always making match day and always happy to help out with the bus. We do appreciate it from you both. Right, lads, interesting one. I would say the first emotion that we've both got, I'll come to you first, Terry, as you are the anchor of this show, mate. Relief, the overriding emotion today, would you say? I would.
Yes, I think so. I think the key measurement today was getting the 3 points, regardless of how we get them. I think this weekend you've got players coming back from all over the globe. We had 7 of that starting 11 that were away on international duty. The guys are travelling back. I don't know when they get back, Wednesday, Thursday. They've got very, very little time to work on anything ahead of this game. Even for the players that have been at home, the manager's been away, which I found strange, to be honest, it's already something that's been organised, I suppose. But after that defeat, I was kind of thinking, well, at least the manager's there. He's going to be working with the guys that aren't away, but that wasn't happening either. It's always a banana skin match where you've got your players coming back from international duty. We've got so many players who are in that category. There'll be lots of teams across Britain, Europe this weekend who are struggling to win this game for the same reason. So ahead of the game, all I wanted was the 3 points. I didn't really care how we got them. I did expect us to win the game a lot more comfortably than we did, but I'll take the positives from it. It's 3 points. Those 3 points are worth the same as the 3 points we got when we beat Dundee United 9-0. Yes, it wasn't pretty. Yes, we don't want to be sitting praying for the final whistle against Motherwell at home, but it's 3 points and we move on.
Well, that's the thing. At the end of the day, the sign of a good team is always when they get results and they're not playing particularly well with them. And I don't know what I expected today. I do believe as well, we were talking, obviously I predicted, I thought Hearts might, in fact I say might, that's me trying to really bail myself out. I genuinely thought Hearts would beat Rangers. And then when I watched it today, that opinion was fucking dreadful of mine. They were miles off them. But anyway, I don't think Rangers were particularly great either. But I think that result did play a wee part. I think if it had went the way I'd predicted, then I think Celtic would have came out just for that extra spring in the step. I think as much as the international break, I was trying to make a case for that maybe being a welcome thing for these players. Like, forget about the domestic sort of trials and tribulations and the fact you're on the back of defeat. However, I still think they had cobwebs to blow away today. I still thought they were a wee bit more hesitant, Liam, than they have been in other games. That intensity we've seen was, I don't mean just relentless on the park, but in terms of the volume of games that we are now doing it this season on a regular basis, but obviously guilty of being spoiled with it, but also then expectations raise at the same rate, Liam, with this. I don't know. I think there was a wee bit that were in the halfway house today. It wasn't St Mirren away. It was far from that. But I also think it wasn't the explosive nature we've seen in many a match this season either.
Russell, you nailed it. My expectations were not met today.
Right.
And I'm feeling like a mug now because I've brought into all the propaganda. Well, no propaganda, but the excitement. And we've added to it here on this bus as well. Hype. And we've hyped that team up. And they've hyped themselves up. And the media's hyped them up. And when I see this way we came out against St Mirren, I was like, okay, that was a concern. And that's what I was saying the last time. I wish we had a game the following Tuesday or Wednesday or something that we could get that out, or they come back and apologise to the fans. Not like we need apologies, but we put a lot of emotion into this team as well. And you want to see, okay, that's great. We're putting you up on this pedestal. No, because we can be like just fan kids and all that. No, this is your club. And so your expectations is that I follow through with that. Where's the consistency? And I'm not seeing that when you see Juranovic smiling. That does my head in. It does my head in. There seems to be, but I see Taylor doing that as well. I've seen guys blooting the ball out the park, 9 feet above the player's head they're supposed to hit, and turn around and giving it a wee laugh and all that. And I go, no, wait a minute. If I'm at my work, somebody drops a glass filter or a lens or something like that, don't stand there laughing off what am I like.
You're right.
You're getting paid. You're getting paid really, really well to play for this club, and we've shown you what it's like to play for this club. I think the players need to be doing better. And I think those last 2 games I've seen them play domestically, no, that does not meet my expectations. That does not meet the hype.
Well, I get it. I think there's an interesting angle with that as well. I'm going to go quickly a wee bit more on the intensity side before we come to individuals. And there's a lot to be said for individuals. That's my Twitter feed. My phone's red hot again today. I know I'll have myself in trouble with the hardest gangsters in the world on Celtic Twitter. I think I'll lose sleep over it, but we'll get to that. But what we'll talk about is in terms of intensity. This is jumping a wee bit towards the end of the game. But if you don't think we've came out the traps quick enough the last 2 games, and okay, it was a wee bit quicker this game, but as I say, when you compare it, Terry, to what we watched the first 9-10 games of this season, we're not quite there yet. Okay. I think one of the catalysts for our intensity and pace in our play is Callum McGregor playing that, number 6 role, picking the ball up from midfield. Abelgard, we cannot critique yet. We've not seen him in a Celtic jersey. Would it be him that would start, though, these games? Because, of course, Callum McGregor now, with a brilliant red card, I thought it was the right thing to do. But with his suspension,
there's a couple of things. How many games does he get? Is it 1 or 3?
I think it's 2.
2. Wrong on both counts. I think there's grounds for an appeal on that one. I genuinely do. I wasn't surprised to see the red because it was beaten and he couldn't wait to get it out of his fucking pocket. But I think there's take away whether you think Stephen Welsh would have been good enough to get across and stop the shot. He was close enough to do it. I think there's grounds for an appeal. I'd be surprised if he didn't appeal. But by the same token, I'd be surprised if anyone in the decision panel sort of agreed with our appeal. But I would have said that was a yellow. For me, there was another defender close enough to get across. Having said that, I do think McGregor done the right thing. I do think it was the action that won the match. He took all doubt out of the situation. Would the guy have got a shot away or not? He just said I don't like it. I think it's cynical. It goes against how I feel the game should be played. But at the end of the day, how many times has that happened to us? I just don't like it where you don't make any attempt to get the ball.
You've got to
You
be
like to carry out.
streetwise, Terry. You know this.
I know. Oh yeah, I know you do. Don't get me wrong. I was applauding him.
him.
I was applauding him as he walked off. It was all day long. It was all day long the right thing to do. But I just get really frustrated when it happens to us, kind of thing. So, it was the action that won the match for us at the end of the day.
But how do we then replace that? Because he's a void, undeniably, arguably, probably, in fact, definitely, I would say, the biggest void in that team. Not just what he brings to the park, Liam, you know, what he can do with the ball at his feet, but what he brings to the team with it, his experience, his calmness, and he's obviously under pressure as well. I think that he's got that ice cool personality, which I think can help rub off on others who might get a bit caught up in it all. Obviously, we're going to have an alternative now. Will it be the Great Dane, Abildgaard? Will it be Aaron Moy get a chance at redemption? You know, Christ, I'll be a busy bus if that happens. I mean, James McCarthy looks so far out the woodwork, but someone needs to go in and be that player. But will this intensity that we seem to have noticed drop off the last two games be able to be kept up without Callum McGregor being the man behind the clock making it tick?
I don't know, maybe it's time for the big Viking to roll up, right? You know, I've read some of the reports about him in Russia saying what a good player he was and good on the ball and that as well. Okay, right. So what is this 6-month bedding in period now? Like, how is that a thing now where we can't get a player that can, you know, get up to our pace, especially domestic football, you know, without like 6 months or 2 months of training? So I don't know. I think for playing that position, he should be able to maybe step in. If he's got the fitness to come on as a sub, I don't know, maybe we see what he's like and try him out. But again, it's a stab in the dark. But I'm feeling more confident in a guy I've never seen in a Celtic strip before than maybe what Aaron Moy has to offer. McCarthy, you know, I'd even look at him as an option. What about the Gooch? Does the Gucci play back there?
I mean, this is the interesting bit, Liam, because see the competition for places there. You could argue if you were the Celtic board, you could say, well, Ange, you know, it's funny, but since you arrived, you know, there's 3 new additions to that one role, plus Callum McGregor, who you've adapted to there. What more do you want? But when you think about it, you go, well, McCarthy was at an Ange signing. Ida Gucci, I mean, I would now wonder, I mean, obviously the Japanese market is one you have to associate with Ange, but the fact of the lack of opportunities being given by Postecoglou sort of suggests, I don't know if he's been there to help a bedding in period, perhaps, for the likes of Tat and Kyogo, because he'd been in Britain before he'd been at Leeds United, I think, and he was loaned out a couple of times. And the Aaron Moy one, obviously, is a guy Ange knows well. And I think the bias for me I think he'll win towards that. I think he's more likely to play Moy as someone he trusts. And I think he does trust him. But I'm putting that in commas because I fucking don't. And my concern is that intensity drop off we may have seen. I'm worried about that then becoming almost like the plague. Because even once it becomes 3-4 games, it becomes a thing. Don't let Celtic start. Don't let them start. And suddenly we seem easy to read. But we weren't easy to read before we were doing it. And we start second-guessing ourselves, Liam. That's my worry.
I'm starting to second-guess Ange. I mean, I know that I'll get pelters for this, right? I'll get pelters. But he's in a pure run of form right now. He's doing great on the chat shows. I watched all the Australian morning shows and that. They showed up my YouTube feed. And again, he was laughing as well. I was like, I had to leave the country because I lost the game. All right, I'm not saying that you need to dial it in, but where was the intensity? If you come back and you bounce back for that, I'm fine. But it's like, all right, has everybody got a more casual attitude? A lot of these players get eyes in the World Cup. Is Moy one of these? Is it trying to get Aaron Moy doing the Australian manager a favour? I think Mark said that in one of the podcasts.
And he got pelters. And you know what?
I agree with him, though. I'm starting think that as well, okay, because I'm seeing like that trust that he's got in Moy. Well, the more trust he has in Moy, the less trust I'm having in Ange right now, because we're not idiot supporters. We watch every game. It's not like we've just been, new to the club for 3 years or something. We watch football, and we were right with Neil Lennon, and we've been right with Rodgers and that as well too. And when you see somebody like Moy and that coming in, it's like, okay, I don't understand why you're playing him. What is the motive here? You've got these other players. You have players looking to come in, and it's like, I don't see what he adds. I don't see him. I think we'd been better keeping their beat on for another year. You know.
Well, I mean, do you know what, Liam? You're getting a mixed bag in the comments. I'm going to tell you. There's
I know
3 there I can see agreeing with you straight away. And I think this is the thing. Glasgow CSC I'm going to come to rather than going right into the politics of Aaron Moy, etc. But as he says, we are allowed to call Ange out, as we are, Terry, any other player. Now, questioning Ange overall, I'm not there. Questioning Ange's decisions, though, on a decision-by-decision basis, well, I've always been there. I'm happy to remain there. And I think we've got every divine right to do that. And calling out people becomes interesting, Terry, because I don't know. This team won a league. They won a League Cup, and they were put together at very short notice. And it was amazing last year. Is it legendary? No. Are these players being treated as legends at times by the support? I think there's an element of that. And I think once they get to that status, you're then looking at their abilities or critiquing an individual 90-minute performance with a lens that's emotionally driven. And when your emotions are involved in any decision-making process, you'll know this for business, Liam, you'll know this for work, Terry, and all that, you're skewed. Your vision is skewed because there's emotional attachment. I think we just need to cut that and accept that sometimes the manager will make mistakes, and that's okay. Every Celtic manager, as Liam says, Rodgers, Lennon, Martin O'Neill, they all made mistakes. Sound that, Claxon? They all make mistakes. So it's okay to say they made mistakes. It doesn't make it instantly a pile-on and that you think these guys are shite. I will call it now. I thought Josip Juranovic scored a ridiculous own goal today. There's 2 elements of it. We're going to talk about Juranovic first, and we'll come to Liam's side on it, and I'm intrigued by this as well. I don't like the reaction. I think footballing-wise, his second half contrasted what his initial reaction was, which seemed to me to be either a smug smile, a smile of someone who doesn't care, or, benefit of the doubt, a wry smile, which was, I can't believe that's just happened, and smiling like that. It wasn't the vibe I got, and it fucked me off. I can't deny it. But we're not allowed to say that because he's Croatian's number 1 right back, Liam. I find all that stuff exhausting. He hasn't had a great start to the season. He's not in form, and he made a huge error today. Is that okay?
It seems to be okay if you're a Croatian international right back. It's not okay if you're anybody else. I mean, I don't want to be all right down on Celtic here. I love Celtic. I love other players. Love Ange.
We all do.
But again, this is the bus, right? He's the par. I don't think he's played that well this year. In fact, I think he's been poor. And I think the fact that Anthony Rush is sitting there, is that going to, he was making great progress and there was a confidence in his game and he could come on and he was, he was playing great. I think he's really contributed to a lot of your goals and a lot of your success last year was Anthony Ralston. And I watch him sitting on the bench and can he get in a game? And I'm watching Juranovic and just making the mistakes. And now and it wasn't about the laughing. It's the casualness. It's the casualness of it, And so you always say in football, casualness causes casualties.
I think it's a good point. Chesting back to a goalkeeper from that sort of range, Terry, is an unusual way of passing the ball back. Now, I see Danielle is coming in saying, absolutely, it's Hart's fault. I'm going to talk about Joe Hart as well, of course. But I don't know. I still think it's a strange decision-making process from Juranovic. I find it casual anyway. That'll be maybe it's harsh. But I think what it did for me was it was maybe a point where I went, because it's now an obvious error, it's an OG and stuff, it's highlighted to me something that's been apparent, and we were saying it in the summer before the start of the season. I think he's a good right back. I think he's a decent right back. I think we have one competing for his position, not getting enough airtime. And certainly not enough playing time. That numbers last year destroyed Juranovic's. And my concern is that when I seen that today, I just thought, well, that's highlighting maybe all my... It's not negative. I think he is a good right back, Terry. But we've got another one there. Ralston that makes that mistake, Terry. That's it. He's out, mate, for weeks and weeks, and we both know it.
I take a I don't take a slightly different view. I take a different view from both of you, but I agree with Danielle's view. I think it's Hart all day long. The only caveat I will put to that is not being at the game, not being close enough. I don't know what the communication was between the two, but for me, Joe Hart has to be screaming at the top of his voice that that's his ball. He's coming to get it, even if he has to knock Juranovic out of the way to make that point clear. From Juranovic's reaction, it would suggest to me he has not had a shout from Joe Hart to say, "I'm coming to take this." Whether he chests it, whether I'm not going to go studs in on him for his reaction because I think that's just a nervous reaction. It's a totally embarrassing situation. You either laugh or you cry. If you think back, there was one years ago where Dewey, pretty similar, keeper's coming out, Dewey knocks it past him. He's standing there smiling his head off. Yes, it's not a great look. It's not a great look, but what the fuck do you do? It's absolutely ridiculous situation. I'm not going to put the bit into him.
Where's the communication, Terry? That's the one.
It has to come from the goalkeeper.
Either way, we can pinpoint the blame either way. Let's look at Kookaburra's point. Brilliant to have you on the bus, Kookaburra, and the other 145 who are watching live. Remember, hit like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. As Phil McGinley says, I love that.
If Hart isn't going to be where he's supposed to be, he has to let someone know where he's moving to. And I'll take it back a step further.
Okay.
In the build-up to, I think that goal originally came from a corner, but in the build-up to that corner, and by the way, it came about 30 seconds after Juranovic hit the bar.
Yes.
Hart was quite weak on a ball that I think he could have taken, and my view was a little bit restricted, shall we say, but I recall it that there was a ball that he could have taken and he kind of punched or flapped and it ended up going out, and that in turn then led to this sort of hopeful ball going into the box, which ended up with Juranovic chesting it past Hart. I just think Hart was culpable in that sort of 60-second spell. He was culpable a couple of times, and I'm thinking back just games over the last couple of weeks. I also apportioned some of the blame in the Shakhtar goal. I put some of the blame at Hart for that. He's dived out of the way of the ball. Yes, has he guessed? Has he tried to anticipate where it's going to go? I always talk about my dad when I'm on here, and I watch the games with him. He told me, he says, "Are you going on to speak to Russell today?" And I says, "I am." He said, "Will you tell him that I don't want to see? Will you tell him I don't want to see Joe Hart in a Celtic shirt again?"
I love how you're putting this on your dad, by the way. I bet you and your dad like, he's fucking balls, dad, isn't he? And you've just turned it right on him.
Listen, I'll forgive a mistake or two, but he's completely unforgiven. One mistake, and that's you. You never pull on the fucking shirt again. That's it. And
cutthroat.
I think I said to you the very first time I was on, if he had 11 subs, he'd have them all made in the first 10 minutes. As soon as a player makes any mistake, that's it. I don't know. He talks about back in his day, the Celtic team were absolutely brilliant. Those tells me all the names. You know what it's like yourself. But he is absolutely unforgiving, and he doesn't want to see Joe Hart back in goal. He thinks it's time for a change. And I know that he's not the only one. To be honest, he isn't the only one. There's a reason. There's a reason why Joe Hart didn't get more England caps. There's a reason why Joe Hart couldn't force his way into teams that he was teams that he had joined in the English Premiership that somebody with 80 England caps should have been able to get into. I think he's been great at Celtic. I think he's been great from an influential point of view, but he hasn't been flawless by no means. There's it's not just today. It's not just
the Shakhtar.
There's been plenty of occasions where you've kind of gone.
Shakhtar duck, Terry. That's the one that really, really confused me. Right? We're in a European match, and you're going right. This is all going our way again. A bit like today. I still think we're making chances we need to be capitalising and taking more of, but that's another discussion. But see, when we're not and we're 1-0, can if you keep ducking it? I think he did duck.
I think he's just anticipated it's going to go across the goal, and he's dived that way, and then he looks like an absolute clown.
He flinched, mate. I think he flinched like someone's going to. I think it's like a instinctive thing that he did. But Liam, you've got concerns about Joe Hart. I mean, I'm not maybe. I mean, I think he's done a good job, but I mean, I'd be lying. I said in the summer, once we signed Segrist, my prediction would be that come the end of this season, evolution will have happened and Segrist will be the number one. What's your concerns about Joe Hart?
I mean, it still gives me the fear when he's got the ball at his feet.
Is he better than Greg Taylor?
No, I think Joe Hart's. I think it's something that's with the overall team. It's a complacency. So it doesn't matter what Joe Hart does; he'll not get dropped. So maybe we'll see the next game, but it just looks like somebody. I keep confusing how great an ambassador he is for the club and what a good goalkeeper he is. You know, and there's about a 50-50 balance there. A lot of the hype around Joe Hart has been, you know, his love for Celtic and the way he promotes us and, you know,
like conducts himself, right?
Interviews, classic, and he talks us up and great representative or ambassador for the club. But as a goalkeeper, again, we're starting to see flaws again. I think we're going through a rough patch as we're seeing with a number of players. And you know, with what we did last year, where we had a, you know, like a complete, like almost a B team out against St Mirren. I think there's a complacency in the players now. It's like, well, here's what happens when you drop me, or, you know, and I see it going across the team right now. And I need to see somebody come in and look hungry. The only one that comes in that actually looks hungry is Haksabanovic every time he comes on.
Yeah, I like the cut, Jim.
So look at the difference. He looks like he's trying to prove something to the coach. I don't see anybody else doing that sort of effort right now. I've seen David Turnbull come on today. And again, he's still firing balls out the park and, you know, and slack passes and all that as well too. But
he needs that.
He had one cracking pass today though, didn't he? He had one cracking ball.
Really, there was one good one he did put through. But I look at the difference with Haksabanovic coming on. He had a different energy to him. He was trying to improve a point. You know, maybe that's why I want to see the big game coming in as well, to see if, okay, can you pick it up? How do we get the spark back in this team? Because as I said last week with the St Mirren game, their timing's off. It's all our timing. The timing's off. It's either up front or it's off at the back. And we're having great individual moments. But to get that sort of concerto type, you know, playing style.
We're going to go to the viewers, Terry, just very quickly.
I like the point that's on the screen. I was going to draw up.
That's what we're going to do now.
At the moment, yeah.
We're going to talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers, Terry, because he's obviously a huge pillar of that Ange team. He was the signing that really was an absolute must-do thing by the club, and there was an expectancy and a demand really from the fans that had to get done. He took to Celtic, you know, the right way. He came in, it was seamless, even though he joined at midnight on the last day of a transfer window and all that bollocks. But he brings a calmness and a reassuring, steady Eddie environment there, whilst also being no bad with the ball at his feet, not a bad conductor of affairs at the back, and pretty game for winning headers. I think Jens looks nowhere near the player he did when he's not playing with Cameron Carter-Vickers. And I just wonder if maybe that hesitancy you're seeing with Juranovic and Hart shows that maybe the biggest communicator in the back four has been CCV as well.
Very possible. With 4 first-team centre-backs, the only one that I'm convinced about is Carter-Vickers. I've never been convinced with Starfelt. Welsh is our number 4 centre-half. There's a reason why he's the number 4 centre-half. I'm still not sold on Jens, but I think you've made a good point there. When Carter-Vickers is playing, whoever's playing alongside him looks a lot more confident and assured when they're playing alongside him. I think he's the key component in that entire defence.
And Miles.
And does that uncertainty happen today if he's on the park? Possibly it doesn't. I wanted us to go out actually this summer, and I knew it was never going to happen.
Oh, you're on mute, Terry. You've went on mute.
Terry.
I actually wanted us to go out. There, I actually wanted us to go out.
Oh, just listen to every word there, mate.
To try and go in and go out and bring in a centre half on the same level, or even an upgrade on even CCV. I know that's
It's a good question.
It's probably well. I'm going to say it's probably beyond us, but why is it beyond us? It shouldn't be beyond us.
It's fucking. We just announced 30 million quid in the bank.
Yeah.
That Saturday, whilst we brought in a Jens that is of a level of Starfelt, different styles, but of the same par. That's how I would describe them, Terry.
We've sneaked through today. We've got the 3 points. I'm starting to look ahead to Wednesday. If we go away to Germany, and I might look silly on Wednesday night, maybe if Welsh and Jens play and we get a result and those two guys have had a backs to the wall, brilliant performance, then superb. But if we go into that game without Carter Vickers, I'm very concerned.
I think this is why see, we did the podcast first ever Boise Bus Summer, if you like. I'll be honest, I wasn't even sure if we would manage to have that longevity over the summer to like, you know, is it really worth kicking off again next season? Folk will be, you know, like we'll be doing the shows to 12, 13 people. But then once you start getting into the nitty-gritty of it all and what Celtic's about in these summers, and you go, right, okay, there's no games, and luckily no playoff qualifiers and stuff, because we've already got the money in the bank, or on its way to the bank, guaranteed, because of the group stage qualification. Recruitment was never more important than the last 2 summers. You know, the wholesale changes that Ange made at a net spend of £6 million over the last 12 months, incredible. This summer, though, it was about going, okay, we need to tool up. We need to tool up, because if you want the rewards Celtic board of going up a level in competition, you need to spend that same level. You need to go up a level from a 4 million centre half to a 6 million centre half, even if said 6 million centre half like costs less than that. I don't actually care about the money. I just mean a bona fide player of a certain ability that is higher than what you've currently got. For me, Jens is, now that I've seen him with Welsh, and maybe there's one of the comments coming in saying it's because he's wary of Welsh, but that's then flipping everything onto Welsh almost, which I think is fucking unfair. I mean, Jens is 24; he's not a child. You know what I mean? And Jens has a lot more experience, obviously, than a Stephen Welsh. And I just don't know as well. I don't like when a player goes from looking smoking to suddenly looking honking, you know, depending on who they're playing with. That's a you problem, not your partner problem. So then you've got the debate of, have Celtic strengthened the centre-back area sufficiently, Liam, when Cameron Carter-Vickers is out, how much that's affecting everywhere else? If there was a bona fide other rival to Cameron Carter-Vickers who came in, not a rival to Starfelt, a rival to CCV that came in this summer, I think some of these conversations aren't had.
Do you know what would be good for this conversation? If we'd have seen a little bit more of Julian last year. Why not? Throw him on with CCV, see what he was like. When I look at Jens, I look like a scaled-down version. Somebody's compacted Julian right now, you know, with some of Julian's attributes.
Here's that, big Superman.
Aye, you know, he's the wee
Was
man.
he guilty of not being a favourite?
What's that?
Was he guilty of not being a favourite? He didn't seem to get a fair crack. He didn't get any crack in the whip, did he?
No, I mean, I didn't see what, you know, he had a grudge. I know he went to the papers and all that, and Ange doesn't like that, or supposedly doesn't like that. But, you know, he hurt himself playing for us, you know, and going for a ball. And I know he gave everybody COVID during the lockdown, but, you know, I don't know. I think I would have liked to have seen him playing with CCV and just seeing what he would be like with somebody else. It was more like that. Starfelt, I like Starfelt with Cameron Carson-Vickers. I think between the two of them, they pick up a lot of the balls in the air. We'd a lot of balls that were staying inside the 18-yard box that we were contesting in the air today. Usually those balls are heading out into the middle of the park or the sides. They were either going up the air or we were losing the headers. I used to think Walsh was really good in the air until I think he's better offensively than he is defensively. He can't seem to get on a ball that comes from an angle, you know, that comes diagonally. Yeah. He's great when it's coming towards him, but when there's a cross-field ball coming, he doesn't know how to position himself to clear the ball or, you know, just get out of trouble. But yeah, I don't think we upgraded. No, we like Carter Vickers is a machine, and we didn't We don't have a backup for the big machine. It's the big cog that runs the entire thing, and we're seeing that right now. And we've not got a replacement for that. We've got other wee cogs that go next to it, but we don't have another replacement for the big cog. And when that stops, our whole rhythm stops, and the timing's off, and we just
that shows you how close a signing Captain Carter Vickers was, of course. Now, Ange got many signings right, Terry, right? And he did. He got a lot of signings right. I'm noticing a bit of heat now as well. And by the way, see the players, just before we even go any further into the critique or whatever everyone's opinion is, these guys get lauded when they do everything brilliant. And when they're on a form, they get all the praise that comes with that, and absolutely deserved so. When they're off the boil, there has to be another way of looking at this. There has to be. And if that involves criticism, then I don't think that's, pounding them or, absolutely battering them on Twitter and all that bollocks. I just think it's fair game because you get all the praise you deserve when you deserve it. And we're in a wee bit of a lull. That's what happens now. Is there an argument that, the positions we're concerned about right now, Terry, the centre-half one, maybe has it been strengthened of a level we would have liked, and I agree with you on that, and Liam on that. Up front, Kyogo's not quite in form right now, but when Giakoumakis again is injured, and we could all see that coming this season, there's going to be injuries for the big fella. What are we doing up front to mix that up? Have we strengthened at all in that area this summer? Whilst we've just posted last week 30 million quid in the bank.
It's a debate that we had during the transfer window is will we go and sign another striker? Will we not? I didn't think we would. I thought we would work on the basis Kyogo's number one, Giakoumakis is number two, Maeda can play in there, Abada can play in there, once signed Haksabanovic potentially can play in there. I think we've just gambled that the two guys won't get injured at the same time, and I know there's quite a few contributors on the bus who just are anticipating that is definitely going to happen at some point. And you know what? It probably will, to be honest. Kyogo's not firing. He got his goal today. I think he stole that goal, to be honest. I thought that was Riley's goal, but he did have chances. Kyogo could have a hat trick. I kind of want to lift just. I'm okay mood-wise. I think I'm happy enough with today. I appreciate that there's games you will not play swashbuckling stuff every game. You will, there will be games like today, and today could have been drop points, and it wasn't, and we got the result. And do you know what? On another day, those two chances that hit the woodwork go in. John Beaton, the biggest stonewall penalty I've ever seen in my life, and John Beaton misses it from about 10 yards away. The linesman misses it when he's standing watching it. Those become goals. That's a 5-1, and we're sitting here in a completely different mood, even though the performance maybe wasn't great. I'm okay with. Yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah, we need to sort of pick it up again. There's been a real drop off from that 4-0 game against Rangers. There's been a real drop off, and we need to pick up the thread again. But there's always going to be games like this in a 38-game campaign, and you've got to get the points, and we got the points, and I'm okay with that. We could turn around next week and beat St Johnstone 7 or 8, and then we're coming on and we're waxing lyrical again about the same players that we're not doing today. These games.
But is that not our gift, though, Terry? This is what fucks me up.
It is.
There's no point in supporting the team and being a Celtic fan if you're not going to be emotionally drawn by every single aspect of it, and that comes with peaks and troughs. I think that's why these little bastards are paid handsomely, right, for the praise and the criticism that us idiots give them, right? They are paid handsomely by Celtic for that privilege. Like, I think we're well within our rights when the going is good to say, how much? That's a £200 million team, Terry. Oh, I don't know, mate, 250 million. And then when it's shite, we want to sack them all. That's our gift to be like that. I think people get a wee bit petty about it. But what I would also say, obviously that's a wee bit of nonsense, you know what I mean? But what I would also say, when you critique your own team, it's because you fucking care, right? You're critiquing your team. You don't critique your own team, Liam, because you want to slag off the team you support. I mean, get your head around that. Or any individual. It's because you care and you think as we all do deep down, you know better than Ange Postecoglou or whoever may be at the helm at the time. We all do. That's just the way it is. You watch it and you go, why is he not doing this? And anyone that's questioning guys 30 years of management, realistically in any other industry, is a fool that they've got no experience of. However, football's a completely different thing. A completely different thing. Right now, we were only 30 minutes away, Liam, from 5 games without a win, I believe. Would it have been 4 games without a win? That would have turned into a mini slump in Celtic's sort of sphere. I think getting the 3 points, ugly as Terry touches on, and without being a 7-0 win, these are every 38 game league season, Liam, you're going to have them. This is what's going to happen. So, whilst, yes, we will criticise it on the 90 minutes we've seen, we all accept over 38 games, performances like today, performances like St Mirren will be a part of that puzzle. They will be a part of that 38 game combination. The important thing is we finish with the most amount of points out of those 38 games. If you ain't playing well and you get 3 points like today, maybe it is a case of job done, few things we want to question, but at the end of the day, utter relief.
I definitely think it's a relief. By the way, what a relief it has having Terry on the bus. Like, I love the sensible approach every now and again. It brings me back to reality.
It helps me too.
It's good that somebody talks sense here now and again, because I want to win every game. And so when I watch the team, as you're saying earlier, Russell, yeah, this is a critique because I want my team to be better. And this is a competition. And so we can't rely on what you did last year and having any sort of, I'm really grateful for what you did for us last year. No, you got paid well, and you're getting paid well again this year. You make more money than probably anyone else watching. And so, you know what, at that point, I'm not really worried about your feelings as a player.
No.
When did it get so soft? But look at the turn they did for us last year. No, he got bloody paid for that. He got paid for it. And if somebody comes in, where's the Kieran Tierney's your man right there. But he loves the club and that. But not enough to stay. But he loves the club, but he loves money and all. So you can't say all that. But so this is an emotional bus. That's what I'm saying. Terry's a sensible one. I can
just picking up on Bob's. Just pick up on Bob's point there. Today, this weekend was one where Celtic fans were optimistic that we could extend our lead. Rangers had what you would regard as the second hardest fixture in the calendar, Hearts away, and Celtic had what you would expect to be a routine 3 points at home. But what you see very often in football and in Scottish football is that it doesn't always work out like that. Rangers have gone there. They've cruised it today, absolutely cruised it. Hearts didn't lay a glove on them. We've struggled, but we've got over the line. And I think I remember one of the nostalgia shows I was on recently with Phil, and we were talking about a season, and we were talking about, do you remember that game where we were absolutely shite and we scored a scrappy goal that went in off Chris Killen's knee in the last minute to get those 3 points? How valuable will those 3 points come at the end of the season? At the end of the season this year, that 3 points that we got at home to Motherwell, which we're sitting here critiquing, could be every bit as important as any 3 points we've ever got. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. I didn't enjoy it. I don't like sitting there going, I hope there's only 1 minute of stoppage time. I hope the referee blows his whistle. You're sitting there, you're home to Motherwell, and you're sitting there shouting yourself that you're going to lose a goal in injury time. But it's all about, as you said, Boyce, that 38 games. When you get to the end, are you in the right place? There's going to be ups and downs. We're not going to be brilliant every week. We're really not. As long as we got the points today, that's the main thing. Yeah, do you know what? There was really scary moments in that game. There was one 3 minutes into the second half where a ball came across. I think it was from a corner again, and it seemed to just go across about knee height, right across our 6-yard box the whole way. We never got anybody clearing it. Keeper didn't come, nothing at all. And you're going, what the actual fuck is going on here? There was different times where Motherwell looked dangerous. You're going to get these games, but I genuinely think we really need to step it up a level over this next 2 month period is going to be crucial as to whether we end up champions at the end of the season or not. It's not even 2 months. It's what is it, 6 weeks the break for the World Cup, and
Aye,
we've another
13 games,
dozen games to
12
go.
games to go. 12.
It's going to define the season. For me, it's going to define the season. We need to be ahead going into that World Cup break. Whether it's a point ahead or whatever, we need to be ahead.
Terry, I don't like to buy, but see the 13 games. I'll come back to you. Let's be optimistic about it. If this is going to be season defining, I think we've got a player in there who, yeah, it's okay to slag off, or criticise Juranovic. All I said was I think he's decent and he's overhyped at the same time. He's a decent player, but he's overhyped. See, one guy, though, who we did get for under £2 million, costs less than the likes of Juranovic, for example, is the match winner today, Rio Hatate. I think we need to get real here and think there could be vultures in January. That's not me trying to put a negative slant on this. It's because I think he's a baller. This guy has this season completely. See any doubts I had last season because I thought, he's came in, had that, that honeymoon period where he's just hit the ground running and it was a bit of a false dawn maybe. I thought he still looked okay, but I thought he's nowhere near what he was like. Now this season, you're back to where you were when he first joined. And I think he is absolutely essential to this Celtic side. He's fearless in his actions. That's what I like about Hatate. See the shot he takes today? He doesn't need to do it. He doesn't.
I thought he was superb today. I thought we're
shy away.
Lots of players didn't play to their optimum. I thought he was pretty close to his. Albeit there was a stray one, which has now cost us our captain for the next game or 2 games or whatever they want to throw at us. But throughout that game, he was superb. Again, he's the one that's trying the risky pass. He's always the one that's trying to create something. And his goal is, we haven't talked about a shot that hit the post, which was a superb swerving effort. It just swerved too much and caught the post on its way. But the goal that he scored, the winning goal, again, absolutely zero backlift. Reminded me a little bit of the one against Hart, where he doesn't really look set for a shot because you're expecting this big kind of wind up to but he gets so much power into it with no backlift whatsoever.
Against Rangers, Terry.
Yeah.
Remember that week, the evening game? His first goal against them, he didn't set up for the shot either. Really, it was just. It's weird. Sorry.
I really like him. Really like him. I think he's an excellent player.
Me too.
Do I think somebody's going to come in and take him? There's bound to be interest in so many of the guys, Boise, and
of course,
I just kind of this thing in my head that whilst Ange is with Celtic, those Japanese guys aren't going to go anywhere, and that's probably really naive, to be honest. But I just kind of think they wouldn't have come to Celtic if it wasn't for the manager. I don't know. I suppose O'Reilly's the one that everybody's talking about. This is going to be the next one. The next one that leaves for big money and stuff like that.
English football, Terry, doesn't he?
I still have this nagging thing. I just want him to go another level and take the game by the absolute scruff of the neck. Go and demand the ball. Go and absolutely boss the game. Yes, he looks great when he gets the ball, but I just want him to completely dominate. He was trying things today, but
I think he's learning
quite ineffective.
It's a steep learning curve O'Reilly's on, though, Terry. You need to remember, MK Dons, League One football, England, he was only there for 6 months after being a Fulham reserve under 21 player. I think he has stepped up in moments, as you say, but he's always, when he gets the ball, he's very useful with it. That next level that you're talking about, I've actually got faith it will come in with O'Reilly. I think he has got the bollocks, the demeanour to do it. I think there's plenty of time for that. But it's a celebration when you look at that midfield here. When you think of Cal McGregor missing and you panic, that's because he's fucking Captain Marvel right now. And there will come a debate one day, not tonight, because we cause enough controversy in this fucking bus. But there will come a debate between him versus Paul McStay. And we'll all look forward to that because the records will start getting compared. And that's par for the course. That's what we do. You look at Rio Hatate, decisive match winner again today. Started this season like he's really recharged the batteries and fulfilling all the ability and potential we thought he had. And you look at Matt O'Reilly, and Terry's not underwhelmed by Matt O'Reilly. Let's get it right. He's already expecting this next level of O'Reilly because he's done so much in such a short spell, having come in from £1.5 million for MK Dons. This is madness. I think as well, when Turnbull's come on and he's looking slow, etc., I think these guys are being highlighted by the fact that their shortcomings are being highlighted, I should say, by the fact that I think that front three picks itself. Now, that is my midfield three, week in, week out, if all fully fit.
That midfield three, by the way, boys, it cost us £3 million.
That's fucking mental.
What was Hatate, Terry?
It was
1.5.
1.5. Yeah, 1.5. The Hatate and O'Reilly 1.5 each, 1.5 each, and McGregor obviously came through the youth system. £3 million for that midfield.
That is insane, and that is why, Terry, like, this isn't about picking on players individually, because for the sake of it, if there's praise to be given, it's got to be given. And that midfield, Liam, you can't deny it. One of those three is going to dig you out in various ways. We've seen two of them, particularly today, doing it. World-class red card and no bad finish from Rio Hatate.
And, well, the first goal was really Matt O'Reilly's as well.
Of course.
Right. That doesn't go right. And it was a great header, and he got it down because he was some height, and he was right up against the keeper as well, which is hard, right? Because a lot of times you get clattered, so there's a bit of bravery going in there as well. I think Hatate, I like what I see of him. When we were on the WhatsApp, I was saying he's having some game. I love that wee turn that he does. It's not like a Cruyff turn, but it's like, it's quick and it's decisive. Sometimes there's a pass that he snaps right on the end of it as he's turning. I'd like to see him play against Luka Modric again for another game in Real Madrid. And
you will do.
I know, and I'm watching him and saying that's what I want to be. I can be that guy, because there's a small in stature. He gets beat up in games, and he's up against a lot of physical stuff. I don't know what the league's like in Japan, but it doesn't look like they play a really strong physical game there. And I think I affected Hatate against idiots like Lundstrom and all that lunging about. But I think,
Liam, sorry, mate. Like, see though, when you think about it, as I said earlier, I wasn't trying to tout Hatate for a move. I just mean once folk get to a certain level at Celtic, naturally they get linked, etc., and all that bollocks. But you know what else as well? You're saying about getting to this up to speed and potentially becoming a Modric. Do you not feel as well Scotland's almost sometimes a perfect breeding ground for these guys as well? They come here and they learn what it is to be hard. They learn what it is to go. I know about playing against guys that have to get a job after their football career, right? And let's be honest, majority of the guys they'll play against, even at the top flight level, will need to move on to further employment after football. Whether it's within football, will be, whether they've spent $5,000 doing silly UEFA courses and stuff that they maybe don't have spare, or whether they go into, Kevin Kyle, for example, he was a Sunderland player and he delivers for DPD or something like that, and he's a taxi driver. And what these guys have to, so see when you're playing against them, you're getting every bit of their soul, right? Because they might be a win bonus away for the mortgage paid that month, shit like that. And I think that takes you then when you go to England. I think Van Dijk, honestly, who looked vulnerable in Europe at times for Celtic because the jump, I think, honestly, him being in that league has been good for him. I don't think he went there and went stale. I think he went to England and found that trajectory easier because of the spell in Scotland. Not having, if he'd sidestepped Celtic and went straight to Southampton, I think the mentality of winning every game as well is an unusual one that a club like Celtic provides.
I think that's a strong point you get. You get winners, right? And you love to be around winners no matter where you work or what you work at. Those boys are winners, right? The other thing, going back, you're talking about the physicality of the Scottish game. Look how Scottish players show up in the MLS. So the MLS are North American League, right? The Scottish players that tend to go there are kind of small. So Ryan Gauld plays here in Vancouver. He's having another great season. What do you call him?
Lewis Morgan.
Lumo, right? He went to Florida. We used to call him that. Lumo. Thinking he was going to be a world beater. I gave him a nickname too soon. Looking hype, huh? Anyway, so they all adapt to North American football because it's a physical game as well, and they can you know, they can ride the tackles. You're getting hit by big Canadian lumberjacks and, you know, guys from the States and all that, you know, Compton and that battling into you. And so you've got to be tough for that league as well. And the Scottish boys, even the smaller ones, do really, really well there. So I think we are a good sort of testing ground for like toughening up players.
Testing.
And that.
I think
for players that don't make professional is because, you know, I've played with a lot of guys that have played nearly professional and stuff like that, and I've played there here, and the difference is the professionals can take the tough stuff, you know, you can get battered a bit and all that and not retaliate or not, you know, hide, you know.
Well, I mean, Terry, I know it's such a fucking cliche example, but you fucking you watched Henrik. I know, it's sad, but I mean, Henrik went. I think again he took to Barcelona at 33 years old because I think he probably found a lot of the defences a bit. How can you say about getting in trouble? Like fairies? Do you know what I mean? That's probably a row as well, but who cares? Like I would say that Henrik probably thought winning headers against La Liga's defenders, he probably thought this ain't too bad. You know, I know this league's meant to be tougher. I meant to have went up a couple of notches, but the other stuff that SPFL football brings, I also don't think players could predict for it. You have to learn on the job. You come to Scotland and you either make it or you won't. But you can't come to Scotland going, I'm ready for this. I know what to expect. It's a minefield. Today we had a game against Motherwell that was a bit like that. It was a team that you're going, you don't know what to expect. And I think that is one of the things with the SPFL, because it's a two-horse race, and you always see it being a Celtic and Rangers league, automatically, and you look at the financial disparity, all that bollocks, you still think this is an easy ride for the two clubs. But I think what these guys bring in, soul, bravery, madness at times, unorthodox styles at times, a different way of thinking, maybe because it's of a lesser level. I think overcoming that over 38 games it's a good making of some of these players, Terry. You know what I mean?
It's the best league in the world.
It's fucking great, eh?
I love it. Honest to God, I love it. I genuinely love it. I mean, I try to get interested in sitting watching English Premiership games.
Where's the soul?
Games across Europe and stuff like that. I genuinely love watching Scottish football, and sometimes it's just the madness and some of the stuff that you see that you just don't see in some of the bigger league kind of things. Go back to Larsson. I think that's a good point there. Probably the rough and tumble of the SPL allowed him to have the career longevity that he had and still making a difference, you know, well into his 30s, mid-30s, and even later 30s. But even going back to the thing that you said at the very start of the show there, Boise, around legends, as soon as the word Celtic legend gets mentioned, I'm thinking of guys like Larsson who produced game in, game out over 5, 6, 7 years. That's where the word legend comes in, and not somebody who's had a couple of good games in a championship winning season. Legends aren't somebody who does it over 1 year, does it over 6 weeks. It's people that do it week in, week out over a much longer period. Of the current squad,
Carl back.
Is there actually anybody? I would say Callum McGregor. Yeah,
he's there, mate. He's on the way.
He is, and you might. It depends. It probably depends on your definition of the word legend. James Forrest, just for the fact he's a one club man over his whole career, maybe. But none of those other guys are Celtic legends. I mean, even Virgil van Dijk for me isn't a Celtic legend. He was here for a short period of time.
But this is the era, Terry, where if you're the first on Twitter remaking a fucking, I don't know, some bonkers track or something now 57 or whatever year it is now they're on with, now that's what I call music, you know. If you can remix a Alice DJ song into a song about a current player, that elevates them into this legendary status before the reality bites. And the reality is, see, when a player becomes a legend, I find it really awkward to critique them. Like,
I wasn't saying, by the way, just on the point that's on the screen, I wasn't saying James Forrest is a Celtic legend, but I'm saying someone who's spent their whole career at the club could be considered a legend rather than some guy who's who's arrived in the last 12 months and has played well 3 weeks in a row.
But let's take it another level, Terry. When you watched Henrik, and that's what we're talking about right now. For example, these last couple of years, last 3-4 years, really, if you did something wrong, could you bring yourself to admit it? No, you fucking couldn't. None of us could, because you're biased. Because by this point, you already know you're watching a legend. You know this guy's cut for a different cloth. You know you idolise him. He's the icon. He's everything at Celtic at that point in time. That team was, I think, full of guys that you could idolise. And then there was this one that's on this fucking different stratosphere. You never looked at him with an obsidiary, honest eye. Everything he did was gold dust, right? Because you're biased by now, because he's a legend. My concern now is that there's a fast track process all the fans are clamouring for, because they want a legend. They want a hero. They don't want a Van Dijk going after 2 years, Terry. They don't want that anymore, because, as you say, when you look back and you reflect, can you really call them a legend? Can you call Mr. Dembele a legend? No. Brilliant players, not Celtic legends. So these guys, I think a lot of the support attached, like songs and stuff, almost out of, and I don't, it's not a crime, do you know what I mean? It's an emotional attachment. They're almost certain people instantly, so that if they come up trumps with one of them, and one of them stays 7-8 years and goes on to legendary things, that song was them who came up with it.
I remember being a kid, boys, I remember being a kid, yes, and it was my birthday yesterday, and I'm far too old to give a shit anymore. But when I was a kid,
you were at the school, Terry. Don't tell lies. You were at the school, mate.
When I was a kid, Di Canio, he was there 1 year. I thought, my God, I've never seen a guy like this. This guy is a Celtic legend. I want his autograph. I want a picture with him. I want a signed shirt. All that pish. Looking back, was Paulo Di Canio a Celtic legend? What's he? Fuck. He was there. He was there for 5 minutes. And
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You can get caught up in the moment. You get caught up in the moment. You see something in front of you which you think is amazing, but when you step back from it and time goes on, looking back, Paulo Di Canio was just a tiny dot on Celtic's story. He was insignificant. And he was an amazing talent, by the way. He was amazingly talented, by the way.
This is no critique. The reason I'm raising this, Liam, is because I think it's quite poignant right now that, see this taking a step back that Terry's referring to. Are Celtic fans really doing that right now? Are they so ball deep they can't bring them, like they're not seeing it with an honest eye? They're seeing all these guys as legends a wee bit too soon, a wee bit too quickly. And almost it's unfair on the players as well, because if you're not getting that scrutiny and you're not getting that judgment, and all you're getting is this big loving, when inevitably there is dips of form and they get the inevitable boos and hates, they won't know how to deal with it, because you've put them on a pedestal that in reality didn't quite exist yet.
I think that's where, complacency sets in, because we do that. I mean, the hype, I get slagged on here all the time for talking about Greg Taylor and that, but sometimes I think
we like your takes. We like your takes.
I'm going to get a Greg Taylor calendar for Christmas. I'm going to recreate it. I'm going to fly to Glasgow, get the wee man. We're going to bond. Is Birds still open? I'll take on my Birds, and just get them into the fold and that. But that's another guy. So we're adding all these hype on players, and I'm terrible for it as well. I love, a Celtic legend, but I think there's only two in my lifetime. I see Jinky and Larson. I'm always surprised when people talk about other legends. But again, that's their lifetime. In their lifetime, they never maybe seen that. And so it surprises me, like the legendary status that gets piled on Scott Brown. And I think he had he had 9 seasons with Celtic.
11 or something.
I mean, 3 of them were, maybe 4 of them were terrible. So I don't know. So, to become legendary in his final years, but I don't know. It's tough.
There was definitely a rebirth. I agree.
I look at Timmy Johnson and I look at Larson and I just think, well, there's no debate there at all.
I like that.
And it's like there's no.
I'll throw one in here. What? KT. For me, KT's not a Celtic legend.
No chance.
Like he might. I still have this really romantic notion. He will come back on a Bosman We get him back, and he spends the last 4 years of his career with us. And maybe then at the end, yeah, he's a Celtic legend.
He just became the top 20 highest paid players in Europe, apparently.
Did he? Imagine have him and Andy Robertson competing for the training room in the sick room.
But
he wants to keep playing as well, huh?
Well, I know. Imagine if Celtic had that same problem, but the same way with Scotland, you go, only us. How does that fucking happen? But I mean, I think with the legendary thing as well, I just wonder if sometimes the generations as well, like, if you've just missed out, for example, on a generational thing like a Larson, right, which is fucking insane when you look at, like, his record and legacy will live on. There's maybe a wee bit of desperation to, like, say you've seen just as good, or say you've seen Sarnes, and I don't mind that. And it doesn't mean that it'll always be Henrik that's the best player I've ever seen. In fact, I hope to God imagine the joy you would have to see someone as good, as loyal, as beautiful. Sorry, I'm wearing a trance now. Sorry, you know what I mean. I just wonder if right now we're in an era where you go viral as well. If you've came up with the song first, and then you're ball deep and you've invested in them. I just think it's always good to look back right now and go, do you know what? We've arrested a mini run of fixtures without a win. We've arrested that with an underwhelming performance. But what we've seen in the last 4 games is a bit of a reality check, a bit of a reality bump for us all, that our first 11, when it comes to top-level European football, still get beat 3-0 off Real Madrid, couldn't win away from Europe, despite brave and good performances. And they were good performances, and they were both brave. Our second string or our backup options might not be as good as we thought. St Mirren 2-0 proves that. Today, after a grueling international period with players dotted off all around the globe and having had 2 weeks to have a hangover of a defeat over our heads, we went quite at the races like we're expecting of us. Maybe these reality bumps are good for the club to evolve. Terry, these guys, they're not the superheroes they're made out to be. 1 or 2 may become that legend that we're looking for, but they're mere mortals. And they're young guys, the majority of them as well. There's going to be bumps in the road this season, and it might just be a good thing sometimes that when you have dips in form, that pressure, which is given by expectancy of too much, is kind of tempered a wee bit. You know what I mean?
It's about building up resilience, Boyce, and the only way you can build up resilience is to have difficult experiences, to have obstacles in your way, to have days where things don't go right. And it's how you deal with them and how you respond to any sort of adversity. There's a lot of people think that this Celtic team is the best Celtic team on the eye that they've seen. I've seen a lot of people say that, a lot of fans, a lot of people within the game that say this is the best Celtic team that they've seen on the eye. You cannot do that every single week. I know I've said that a few times today. It's the likes of today. It's the likes of the games where you've been defeated, the 2-0 away to St Mirren. It's how you respond, how you deal with those challenges that come along your way. And if this team is, and I really, really hope it is, if Ange's team is going to be one of the best Celtic teams that I've seen in my life, they are going to have to deal with certain challenges and certain adversities. And to be fair, so far they have. We were sitting probably this time last year. I honestly didn't expect us to win the league from the position that we were in, having just assembled a team of players from all over the globe, having not won the league the year before, having brought in a new manager that nobody had ever heard of. I genuinely didn't think we would go on and win that title. I expect us to win the title this season. What's happened in the last couple of games doesn't change my mind in any way, shape or form. I still think we're going to win this league. We're just going through one of those bumps that every single team in the history of football has gone through, and the good teams are the ones that ride through those games, get as many points as they can, and then when everything clicks again, you're back on the pig's back again. You're a mute now.
You're a mute. Listen.
Yeah, but am I just talking shit? I was like,
No, you weren't talking anything. You were just making mouth movements at me.
Kenny's a wanker. Do you agree with me, Liam? I said, I'm glad it was on mute. No, I'm looking. I can't remember what I said. Liam, what's your reaction to Terry's last
Terry, let me add to that though, Terry. Right? See, right now, we got the 3 points today, and just like a competitive league, points are cumulative, right? So is form. And I think the reason that we're identifying, we're putting it, right now it just looks like a small problem. I don't want to see it become a big problem like the way it was with Neil Lennon, where we had players losing confidence. And I'm not saying we're going to go anywhere near that. But right now, you've seen a drastic drop in form. And there's players that are not playing up to the expectations and like aligning with the energy that's what's going on in the crowd right now. We're hyped up. They got us hyped up. Now we need to keep that momentum building. And when you see performances like today, and I'm so happy we got the 3 points, but I can still be critical enough to pick out the moments in form where I think we're going to miss right now. And I think right now we've got a big rhythm problem. And I hope it's just a fix of Cameron Carter-Vickers. But if he is the fix, that shows that we need to have support in that area, because we need another version of him. And what we've done to recruit hasn't been the right way. So that's what I'm just seeing. I'm seeing it at this point. Everybody's talking about a striker. I think we've got a great midfield. I think we've got a total baller in Hatate. And then I'm seeing a defence right now that when the big cog is out, it's it's no running properly. And so I want to see
you're right. Because
if he makes that big difference and it just all gels back into order, perfect. But I'm concerned. That's my emotional output right now. I'm concerned.
No, and it's an emotional output. That is what tonight's show.
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned at all. I was sitting here 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, and I was talking about how the whole club was joined up, the fans, the board, the manager, all of that kind of thing. I'm totally comfortable that it's a switch that will just flick again. What I will say, that St Mirren match, and I wasn't able to make it on. I wasn't feeling well that day, and I wasn't able to make it on. But see from before the game, and I don't want to get into any of the stuff that went on before the game or during the game or any of that stuff, but we were not joined up that day in terms of what the board wanted, what Ange wanted. You could see the players. If you watch the players during those proceedings before the match, those players looked very awkward. There was players there looking around, and their mind wasn't focused on what they were about to do. They're standing there thinking, what the fuck's going on here?
A free kick at one point, he skied it, and I think someone shouted for the bench, and he's kind of scowled at them in that, like as if like, who are you talking to? And it was like, oh, like if you can't take any critique, I think it was fractured from top to bottom.
If you think back, Boise, to the game last season, the home game against Livingston, the one that Giakoumakis missed the penalty in injury time, there was stuff going on before that match as well. And
he was spun on.
Everything just wasn't joined up, and you could feel it. Sometimes you just get a feeling everything doesn't just feel right today. And that game against St Mirren,
Higgins
didn't feel right from the day.
Higgins was a huge part of that. Remember that game? Penalty was tennis balls. Remember? No,
that was the GB. The GB didn't sing for the first 30 minutes.
Well, 30 minutes I was there. I didn't sing for the first 30 minutes, and that's what tells you all these things. It's like karma in a weird way, but it's like I don't blame the Green Brigade for what they did.
No, I don't. I'm not blaming anybody for. I'm just saying we're not all joined up. It's obvious to me, and bad results tend to follow.
That happened too.
Bad results follow.
See when that St Mirren, see we got beat by St Mirren the next day for me. So that was the day of the funeral, right? It was the next day, and I walked around, people like looking really sad. And they're going, you must have really liked the Queen. And I'm like, no. And I think that was the universe. Like, we were taking far too much delight in what was going on. And it was the universe giving us a wee kick in the chuckies and saying, hey, listen, man, you're going to be sad as well today. Your face will be tripping. You're going to enjoy it like just all the rest of them. And I was really sad that day.
Everybody's like just had that. I didn't expect Big Liam to be doing the day. Didn't expect him to be all gutted.
No,
2-0 Paisley still not over it yet, man.
I fucking loved her like a mum.
It's a weird one though. I think as well. the thing is with Celtic teams, they'll take you to a level, they'll increase your expectation, and you inevitably decide they're invincible at that point and tell all your Rangers supporting pals, we'll not lose a game. Oh, under Ange, I'm not losing a game. We've all done it. Right? And then the St Mirren stuff happens, you have to go, like it is. And as Terry says, every 38 game season, expect this to happen. Expect a scrappy 2-1 win over Motherwell. Expect a 2-0 defeat against some diddy team like St Mirren. This is going to be, that's part of the course. We've went unbeaten in one full league campaign in my lifetime. So I suppose the calm down narrative I'm kind of warming to a wee bit. But I think what's our gift as fans is to give the emotional output as well at that time and base it on the 90 minutes. I have the next day greeting about, a royal disaster, but not the one everyone else thinks you are. And then give the perspective midway through the week. I think that's fair. I don't mind being a wee bit up and down. Celtic's like, the worst girlfriend they've ever had. Do you know what I mean? Put you through hell. You can't stop them back to it. You know what I mean? Easy on the eye. And it's just one of those things. You know what I mean? So I think after 90 minutes, it was easy to come on tonight and go, we're fucked off. That was pretty poor. You could tell they're not back to it. And we probably did that at the start. But this is the group therapy session maybe us three need as well. Do you know what I mean? Talking, post-match, pish. That's what works. And hopefully folk in the comments as well are probably watching it going, do you know what? It's not all that bad. Take all the negative points. We've looked at them. We've addressed them. But isn't it brilliant to be a Celtic fan? Oh, fuck. Yes, it is. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't change it for the world.
Exactly.
I see. We played shite today. We're despondent because we played shite, but we still won the game. And we're still top of the league looking down on the Rangers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, mate. And I know, see, for all that, Glasgow CSC says, and I know he's been in all night, by the way, and thank you for that, mate. He says, but that's 5 in a row. We've been shite. No reaction at all. We've given our reaction to it, and as have you, Glasgow CSC. Now because it's Saturday evening, I've got 2 days off. Terry, I'm sure, is going to be having fun in that Celtic land of his that he's got behind you. Liam, I don't know what time it is. Your midday.
He's going to bed.
He's out for breakfast.
No, it's nearly 12 o'clock. 11:21.
That's mad.
Which day?
Tuesday.
But it's been great fun doing
What year? What year?
But anyway, Celtic, as you say, 3 points, top of the table. Yes, please. Big thank you, as always, to Liam, Pumped Up Warlord, and the anchor, not the wanker, the anchor, Terry Robb, the face of the P.M.P. Happy birthday again, Terry. Have a brilliant night.
No worries, mate. See ya.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.